Yes, good afternoon, Secretary Roque, Secretary Belio, and Sir Halad. From Rose Novenario of Hataw, ang palace reaction po daw sa sinabi ng NUPL na ang IRR ng Anti-Terror Act ay paglabag sa basic human rights at Constitution.
Well, siyempre po, we disagree. Pero kung talagang naninindigan ng NUPL, welcome naman po sila magsampa ng kaso sa Korte Suprema kung gusto nila.
Okay, thank you, Secretary.
Thank you. Punta tayo kay Joyce Balancio, please.
Good afternoon, Secretary Roque. The DPWH has formed a task force to investigate yung allegations of graft and corruption inside the DPWH. Pero the members of the task force are also from the DPWH. Is it not proper, Secretary, to for an independent task force outside of DPWH to spearhead the investigation to make sure that it will be free from any influence or impartiality?
Well, siguro po, pangunang hakbang lang yan na kinukuha na o ginawa ng DPWH para nga i-address yung problema ng korupsyon na linabas ng ating presidente. So, pagbigyan naman po natin sila. No? Let's give them a chance dahil sa aking pagkakaalam, talagang this is one of the rare moments na ina-address natin ang korupsyon dyan sa DPWH na ang sabi nga ni presidente ay lantaran at parang systemic.
Will you encourage a secretary itong task force to also submit their recommendations or findings to the Office of the President?
Of course, welcome po talaga lahat ng mga findings ng task force na yan at sa publiko po, no? Ulitin ko po, 8888. O di naman kaya, ipadala nyo lang dito sa ating tanggapan at napakadami na po ng cases na korupsyon na nakarating sa ating tanggapan na nabigyan po ng solusyon.
Secretary, on the 2021 proposed national budget, some lawmakers like Senator Panfilo Lacson and Senator Francis Pangilinan are saying unconstitutional itong sinasabi pong institutional amendments or yung errata allowed by some congressmen after the budget was approved in the final reading in the House of Representatives. Kahit daw po ito yung agency-initiated corrections. Now, sir, as a former congressman and now palace spokesperson, pwede po ba ito, Secretary Roque, itong errata after it has been passed on final reading?
Well, as a finding of fact, kinakailangan ma-establish na yung errata really refers to a typographical error, no? Pero kung ito po ay additional items, then I would share the view of the senators. Kasi kapag third and final reading, wala na po dapat pagbabago yan. But then another issue of fact is, ano ba talaga inapruban nung third and final reading? Kasi unless mailabas kung ano yon, hindi natin malalaman kung meron talagang bagong mga dinagdag.
So paano po yung pwedeng remedy dito, sir, if in case it falls dun sa category na nabanggit nyo na hindi ito typographical error?
Well, nung isang taon po, napakadaming mga na-veto ng presidente at karamihan po dun sa na-veto ni presidente ay yung mga line items na hindi po kasama dun sa original na bill ng Kamara na approved ng third and final reading.
Last na lang po for me, Secretary, follow-up lang dun sa unang question on IRR ng anti-terrorism law. May mga nagsasabi po, like for example, ilang petitioners na against dito sa anti-terror law na ito nga daw po ilabag sa due process afforded to citizens kasi ipapublish yung names nila in newspapers even prior to the decision of the court in their cases. So damaging daw po ito sa reputation, also it can lead to discrimination to those people who will be included in the list.
Well, meron naman pong determination na mangyayari bago po sila mag-classify ang isang tao as being terrorist. Kinakailangan po ma-involve yung buong Anti-Terrorism Council, no? So hindi po pwedeng banta-banta lang yan or tagging lang yan. Kinakailangan meron naman pong factual basis before it is published. In any case, as I said earlier, kung sa tingin po nila this is a violation of any right, they're welcome to seek relief po sa ating Korte Suprema.
That's all for me. Thank you, Secretary.
Thank you very much. Joyce, balik tayo kay USEC Roque.
Yes, Secretary, questions from Ace Romero ng Philippine Star. What is the basis of the report cited by the President that 167 million Filipinos are addicts, which is higher than the actual population of the Philippines?
Pasensya na, Ace, no? Typo lang po yun. It should be 1.67 million.
Okay. Ang second question po niya, more than 4 years into his term, the President is claiming millions still addicted to drugs. What does this say about the drug war? What does this say about the previous claims that the drug war?
Well, ang ibig sabihin lang po dyan, talagang meron pa rin talagang maiitim ang budhi na patuloy ang pagkita nila dito sa pag-supply ng pinagbabawal na gamot. Wala naman po talagang bansa na nagiging 100% drug-free, pero ang sinasabi ng Pangulo, yan ay cornerstone ng kanyang administration habang siya ay nagiging banta, not just as an ordinary criminal act, kung hindi it is already a threat to national security, bibigyan po yan ng highest priority ng ating presidente.
Thank you, Secretary.
Thank you very much, USEC. We now go to Joseph Morong.
Sir, good afternoon po. Sir, first dun sa question sa statement ni Presidente regarding yung pagbabayad ng PhilHealth, he mentioned of a solution na kakausapin niya yung COA and maybe the DBM. What is the solution and what seems to be the problem, sir? Kung bakit natagalan at umakyat ng 900 million plus yung utang ng PhilHealth? And how soon can we expect the payment so that we can have the swab test already?
Well, unang-una po, no, pwede pa rin po kayo mag-swab test. Kasi nga po, 116 RT-PCR labs na tayo, 112 RT-PCR test tayo at meron tayong 35 gene expert laboratories. So, meron pong alternatibo.
Okay.
Pangalawa po, it's a matter really of accounting and payment, no? At hindi ko lang po masigurado pero parang tumatawa din ata tayo ng kaunti doon sa sinisingil ng PNRC na wala naman daw pong problema. So, it's a matter of accounting. Ang PhilHealth po, paulit-ulit kong sinasabi, hindi po yan mauubusan ng pondo dahil under universal healthcare, sagot po ng gobyerno ang viability ng PhilHealth.
How soon?
Hindi ko lang po masabi, no? I wish I could say within the day, pero syempre po, may mga papeles naman na ginagawa, but I can assure you that at least half of that will be paid at the soonest time possible.
At least half, no?
Yes.
Sir, okay. Yung ating pong ambassador sa Washington, no, si Ambassador Romualdez, wrote an article October 17, and he said, and this is with regard to the vaccine, he said that they are in touch with the U.S. Department as far as the Pfizer vaccine is concerned, and Pfizer has contacted our embassy in Washington. Now, and the State Department has said na nag-order na sila ng excess ng Pfizer vaccine para maibigay or make it available to close allies. But ang sabi nitong si Ambassador Romualdez is that what is kind of delaying yung pagpirma ni Secretary Duque nung confidentiality agreement that will be necessary for the procurement. I know you will say that address the question to Secretary Duque, but tangentially, sir, can you mention the efforts of our government in making sure that once the vaccine is available, we can readily have it? Kasi right now, yung Pfizer is coordinating with Washington, but hindi pa tayo pumipirma dun sa CDN.
Well, I think yung deklarasyon ni Ambassador Romualdez proves that the DFA has given our missions the order to coordinate very closely with those who are manufacturing or trying to manufacture the vaccine to COVID. No? Hindi naman tayo papayag na maiwan tayo, no, na hindi tayo makakuha. So we're exerting all efforts na masigurado na makakakuha tayo ng most amount of quantity that we can at the soonest time possible. And I think that's proven by the actions of Ambassador Romualdez. Ganyan din pong ginagawa ng ambahador natin sa China, whom we hope to invite on Thursday para siya na magsabi kung ano yung steps that they have taken in China to secure us a vaccine from China. At ganyan din pong ginagawa ng ating ambassador to Russia and ambassador to the UK, no? Meron din ata tayong coordination sa Israel, no? Because apparently there's a joint venture between Russian company and an Israeli company. So, lahat po ng hakbang ay ginagawa natin. Nandiyan na po ang financing. Inaayos na po ngayon yung mga issues such as logistics, paano ipaparating dito, saan i-store dahil ang storage po niya ay negative 90 pala ang kinakailangan, no? At pero pagdating naman sa distribution, ang sabi naman ni Secretary Duque kahapon lamang, sanay na po tayo diyan dahil napakadami natin mga vaccination drives, one of which is ongoing, no? Beginning on the 26th of December. measles and polio ata, no? So sanay na tayo sa actual distribution at pagtuturok. Ang pinaghahandaan po natin talaga is yung logistics, pag-import, kasi specialized po ang transportation nito, -90, at saka yung storage, no? Pagdating po dito sa Pilipinas.
And the money, of course, no? 2 billion yung initial, but we need a lot more. You mentioned 12 billion US dollars before. Tama ba yung pagkarinig ko, sir?
Well, kaya nga hindi ako nagko-compute eh. Basta sinasabi ko, 20 million times 2 kasi 2 dosage, 40 million times 10 kasi yan ang estimated price per shot, $10. Kung ano man yung resultang yun yung initial na kinakailangan. At whether or not it's in the budget, we have a financing scheme already in place. Kung meron na po tayong mabibili ngayon, makakabili na tayo ngayon. Kasi hindi naman po problema ang financing.
All right. Sir, just one last question to you and then maybe a little bit to Secretary Bello. Sir, just to put it out there, no, si Presidente has been conducting mga Monday briefings, but I understand that he is warm to the idea of conducting a Zoom press conference with the Malacañang Press Corps. Is that correct?
He has agreed. Because I promised the Malacañang Press Corps I will bring this to his attention. I did and he has agreed. So antayin na lang po natin ang detalye.
All right, sir. A little bit po kay Secretary Bello.
Go ahead, please.
Sir, Sec Bello, how are you? Good morning, good afternoon. Sir, yun lang pong, and this is related to the PhilHealth issue, no? How many more OFWs are we expecting to arrive in the country, maybe until year end? And then, if the problem with the PhilHealth is not resolved, how do we expect to test these OFWs that are coming?
Well, first, we are expecting another 100,000 or more because every day the number is growing. But before the end of this year, we are expecting 100,000 or more OFWs. Now, the problem about Red Cross not conducting the swabbing test, we are now faced with another stranding of our OFWs. Whereas before we succeeded in in bringing home or repatriating our OFWs at the rate of 1,000 to 3,000 a day, now we are talking of only about a maximum of 300 a day. So you can just imagine how many OFWs are now stranded in all the hotels in Metro Manila. Yun ang problema namin. And they are staying longer. While before they could stay only as long as 3 to 4 days, now they're staying already beyond 1 week. And that's our problem in terms of expenses and in terms of taking care of our OFWs. So the sooner this issue of payment is resolved, the better for our OFWs and the better for the finances of our government. Ang laking problema yan.
So you're talking about 100,000 that are coming in from abroad, tama?
Yes.
And then yun
that's
pong
right.
bringing home na 1,000 to 300, 3,000 and down to 300. This is from Manila to their provinces, tama?
That's right. But we bring home about 1 to 3,000, and now we can only bring home up to their final destination about 2 to 300 OFWs because of swabbing service.
And right now, sir, you can say for a fact na nag-stranded na yung mga OFWs natin.
In a manner of speaking, they are now stranded. Then
Do you have the data, sir?
we are going again to the neighboring areas to look for quarantine hotels for them.
Would you have the number, sir?
Right now we are talking of at least 4,000 plus now stranded in Metro Manila.
Since the problem started, sir. No?
Yes.
All right, sir. Sir, thank you for your time, Secretary Roque. Thank you. Regards po sa USEC Halad.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Santa Claus Bello. We go now to USEC Roque again.
Secretary Roque, question from Vance Fernandez of Police Files. Ito po tanong niya, according to the Philippine Population Institute and the United Nations Population Fund, there are 2.5 million unexpected or unplanned pregnancies are expected to be recorded by the end of the year. With this dramatic increase, how does the government plan to deal with the eventual long-term consequences of a sharp pregnancy and population increase, especially after the country will be dealing with the economic fallout of the COVID-19 pandemic?
Well, unang-una po, bagamat talagang dapat iplano po ang pamilya, hindi naman po bad news na marami rin tayong mga naging anak. No? Our greatest resource is still our population. Okay? So, we don't view the children who will be born as a problem. We deal with them as blessing. Pero as a matter of public policy po talaga, kinakailangan paintingin natin yung tulong natin sa mga mamamayan na yung lalo na yung gusto magplano ng kanilang mga pamilya. Well, siyempre po kasi nag-lockdown tayo, hindi makakuha ng mga gamit para na ginagamit ng mga nagrerelasyon o ng mga may mga asawa, no? Pero now that we are reopening the economy and there are now only localized lockdowns, I think yung availability ng mga kinakailangan ng mga nagpaplano ng pamilya will be there again, no? As they have been in the past. Pero ulitin ko po, no, we welcome these newborn Filipinos as blessings to the country, even if we would like to encourage people to plan their families.
Thank you, Secretary Roque.
Maraming salamat po. Trish, Terada, please.
Good afternoon, Secretary. Sir, follow-up ko lang po dun sa IRR ng Anti-Terrorism Act. Nakarating na po ba or nabasa na po ba ng Pangulo itong mga provisions dito sa IRR? Specifically dun po sa nabanggit kanina, yung pag-name publicly ng terrorists before going to public trial. And this one, I'll zoom into this, yung warning that protests and criticisms will be deemed terrorist acts if they are seen as intended to cause harm and endanger public safety. Hindi po ba, sir, in a way, it's violative of the right to free speech or public assembly, at least for that concern po?
As I've said earlier po, no, hindi naman po yan proseso na isang tao lang magdedetermine. The entire council has to agree. And there has to be factual and legal basis for an entire council to agree. Kaya nga po, binigay natin yung obligasyon na yan, hindi lang sa isang tao, kundi sa napakadaming tao. Number two, let's accord our public officers a presumption of regularity in the discharge of their functions. At pangatlo, sinabi ko nga po kanina, kung sa tingin nyo talaga ito'y minalalabag ng karapatan, please go to court.
Sir, doon naman po sa Marawi, kasi nabanggit po ng Pangulo that, rebuilding Marawi is not easy and it will actually take time. But does the government have a specific timeline kung kailan po makikita itong talagang Marawi going back to its former glory? Do we see this happening before the term of the president ends?
Yes, ang target po natin is December of 2021.
Thank you, Secretary. Sir, may I just go to Secretary Bello, please?
Yes, please, Secretary Bello. Walang audio, Sec Bello. Baka naka-mute ka ngayon.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
yan.
Trish.
Okay
Good
na po.
afternoon, Secretary Bello.
Good afternoon, Trish.
Yes, sir, dun po sa 13th month pay, a lot of people are asking, especially yung mga natigil po sa trabaho because of the pandemic. Yung sa pro rata, sir, sa issue ng pro rata, mag-a-apply po ba yun sa kanila if I'm not sure if it's the right term, but if they were forcibly asked to take a leave or to stop working, then asked to return to work, kahit po hindi naman nila, kumbaga, kasalanan na patigil po sila sa trabaho. Paano po yung magiging mechanism for that?
Trisha, the number of days na hindi sila nakapasok, whether it is voluntary or involuntary, will have to be deducted in the computation of the 13-month pay.
Okay. So kumbaga, sir, kahit po it's not their fault na hindi sila nakapasok, kumbaga, the law really applies.
Yes, that is correct, Trisha.
Alright, Secretary. Salamat po. Thank you, Spox.
Okay, Trisha.
Maraming salamat, Trish. Thank you, Sec. USEC, Roque, please.
Secretary, question from Rolly Lakay Gonzalo ng NPCDWIZ. Si Mayor Chanco daw po nagsabi na kung maaari lang hindi na muna magluluwag hangga't hindi ligtas na ligtas. Hindi ba ito ang dapat na panuntunan lahat ng mga LGU?
Well, peculiar naman po yung kahilingan ng navotas na mag-delay ng kanyang pagbubukas, pag-lift ng curfew at pinagbigyan naman po kasi iba yung sitwasyon ng navotas na predominantly residential siya talaga, no? At iniiwasan nga yung mga tumatambay at yung mga pagala-gala. Pero sa amin po dumating na nga sa punto na hindi po pwede na magutom ang ating mga kababayan dahil sinasabi natin na kinakailangan mag-lockdown. Ang pinaghahandaan po natin habang tayo nagbubukas ng ekonomiya ay yung kapasidad na bigyan sila ng sapat na medical treatment kung tayo po ay magkakasakit ng malala or critical. Pero alam naman po natin na bagamat maraming nagkaka-COVID, ang karamihan po talaga ay asymptomatic at saka mild na karamihan po hindi na kinakailangan magpunta ng hospital, no? So habang meron po tayong kakayahan na gamutin yung mga malala o critical, ay pwede naman po tayo magbukas ng ekonomiya. Basta po ang lahat ng Pilipino ay susunod po sa pakiusap ng ating presidente, mask, hugas, iwas. Ingat buhay para sa hanap buhay.
Thank you, Secretary.
Yes, pumunta naman tayo kay Maricel Halili of TV5.
Hi sir, magandang hapon po. Sir, follow-up lang po dun sa question ni Ace Romero earlier. May we know the basis of the 1.67 million drug users? I know the information came from the Dangerous Drugs Board, but can you give us details? When was the study conducted? Which areas were included in the investigation, in the probe?
It was the source is the 2019 National Household Survey on the patterns and trends of drug abuse. So it's a proper scientific basis and it's a national survey. So I suppose because it's a proper survey, survey, they must have complied with sufficient statistical sample and all those things, no?
Okay. Sir, on other issues, some senators are asking to release the funds for the Bayanihan 2 kasi parang hanggang ngayon daw po yata hindi pa nare-release ng DBM. May we know what happened? Why can't it be released earlier? May binigay na po ba na explanation?
Well, ito po ang mga na-release na, no? And this just came in, no? It just came in. It's a text from Secretary Wendell Avisado. Ang mga na-release na po, 2.5 billion to DILG, to DND OCD 855 million, to DOF Bureau of Treasury for LGUs 110 million, sa DOF Bureau of Treasury for LGUs 104 million 606,750, to DFA 820 million, to DSWD 6 million, and to DOLE 8 billion. So hindi po totoo yung nalathala sa periodiko na 6 na billion lang ang na-release, no? Kasi okay. Ang nakasulat po pala dito ay yung 6 billion at saka yung DOLE na 8 billion are awaiting approval by the OP. So pwede na po yung i-release, no? So kung isusuma total nyo lang yung sa dalawa lang, sa DSWD at sa DOLE, that's already 8 plus 6, that's already 14. Plus yung mga 2.5, yung mga binasa ko, medyo mataas na po ang ma-release from the 165 billion.
So, given these released funds, sir, is there a need to extend the Bayanihan 2? Because some senators are, contemplating baka kailangan siyang i-extend dahil hanggang December 19 lang daw po yung effectivity.
Kinakailangan lang naman po magastos yan. Pero I don't think yung paggastos po is subject to the expiration of the law. Kasi yan po ay na-appropriate na, no? And it's just about to be released. So, wala naman pong problema yan. Of course, we would like it to be released sooner kasi yung 165 will also act as an economic stimulus.
Thank you, sir. Sir, may I go to Secretary Bello?
Yes, please.
Hi, sir. Magandang hapon po, Secretary Bello. Sir, one clarification lang po. Of course, employees are happy for the release of the 13th month's pay. Pero just a clarification, because before you mentioned na meron pong nakalagay dun sa IRR na exemption ng mga companies, yung mga distressed company. Pero ngayon sinasabi po ninyo, no more exemption. What made you decide na hindi na magkakaroon ng exemption dun sa mga companies?
Very good question, Maricel. Because after we saw 851, we thought that was the only relevant PD. But we just found out after some research that there is a subsequent PD 1354. And under this presidential decree issued by the late President Marcos on May 1978, it was very expressly directed that the DOLE, or the Department of Labor and Employment, will not accept any application for exemption or so maliwanag na pinagbawal na yung exemption under the implementing rules and regulation issued by the late Cablas Ople.
All right. Thank you, Secretary Bello, Secretary Roque, and USEC Halad. Salamat po.
Thank you, Maricel, and thank you, Mr. Santa Claus. Melo Acuña, please.
Good afternoon, Secretary. Good afternoon. Siguro po, very briefly lang, paano nagkaroon ng kasunduan ang Red Cross at ang PhilHealth na nauwi tayo sa ganitong problema?
Si Presidente na nga po ang nagsabi na babayaran yan. So, so tingin ko po, yung kasunduan na yon is already at the highest level. No? Ang Philippine National Red Cross nga naman po, gaya ng sinabi ko ng nakaraang press briefing, yan po is sui generis. It is always a partner of government, but it is not governmental, no, because they have their own personality and they want to be independent, impartial, and all that, no. So sa tingin ko naman, tulong-tulong lang naman tayo talaga.
Opo. Kay Secretary Bello po kaya, Secretary Bebot, magandang tanghali po.
Magandang tanghali.
Opo. Sa dami po ng mga umuuwing overseas Filipinos, may pera pa po kaya ang OWA para tugunan ang kanilang pangangailangan, or would you need budget from the General Appropriations Act?
Actually, Melo, sinuwerte kami because the President gave us a very sizable amount precisely for repatriation of our OFWs. He gave us 5 billion pesos. And bayanihan to heal as one part 2, meron na naman dinagdag doon na 3 bilyon. Kaya palagay ko naman tamang-tama lang pa yon para sa mga ating OFWs. This will include yung not only the repatriation expense but even yung reintegration program.
And this is different from the funds being used by the Department of Foreign Affairs, yung assistance to nationals, no?
Iba yun. That is, yung ATN ng Department of Foreign Affairs is strictly for yung undocumented OFWs. Yung it is for the documented OFWs.
Okay po. Thank you for the assurance. Kay USEC Halad po kaya, makisuyo na rin ako. USEC Halad, good afternoon. Meron pong pag-aaral na ginawa ang Department of Science and Technology, particularly ang PVOLCS, na nag-identify ng mga landslide-prone areas. Gaano po kabilis ang warning system natin, USEC, kung magkaroon ng matinding buhos ng ulan, makakascade kaya ang impormasyon sa local government units hanggang sa mga barangay para maiwasan ang pinsala sa pag-aari at buhay ng ating mga kababayan. USEC Halad, please.
Yeah, magandang hapon na Melo. Meron tayong tinatawag na emergency alert and warning messages, And siguro mga isang oras ang nakalipas, nagpalabas tayo ng ganong advisory para dito sa Camarines Norte. Yung red rainfall advisory galing sa Pag-asa for Camarines Norte. So napadala natin yan sa lahat ng mga subscribers ng telcos diyan sa Camarines Norte, dahil ito ay yung emergency alert and warning messages ay ito ay time-bound, area specific and hazard specific din, So at kinakailangan talaga maintindihan natin lahat ano ba ang epekto nitong red rainfall advisory. Ang red rainfall ay magdadala yan ng at least 30 millimeters of rain in a span or more in a span of 1 to 2 hours. And kailangan intindihin natin yung sinasabi ng mga geologists na yung accumulation ng 100 millimeters of rain ay sapat para magkaroon ng landslide doon sa mga matataas na lugar at sa pagbaha. So, kailangan talaga yung pag-intindi natin lahat at sa maging epekto. At saka of course yung kung ano yung naobserbahan natin, di ba? Well, wala tayong problema sa pagbaha. Yung baha nag-advertise ng sarili niya. Makikita natin yung pagdahan-dahan o bigla ang pagtaas ng tubig. Yung ang mahirap yung landslide. So, meron ding project ang DOST, yung tinatawag nilang Project Dyna, no? So, medyo may may konting gadget silang nilalagay doon sa mga lugar na at risk to landslide. So, nasa experimental stage pa sila. So, we wish DOST success in this project para marami tayong malagyan ng mga lugar na at risk to landslide, and that will complement yung ating understanding of the risk na yung sobrang ulan ay magdudulot ng pag-landslide at sa kapagbaha.
Opo. Maraming salamat po, USEC, Secretary Bebot at Secretary Harry. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Melo.
Thank you, Melo.
Last po si Mela Lesmoras ng PTV4.
Hi, good morning po, Spox. Good morning po sa ating kay Secretary Bello and kay USEC Halad. Spox, my first question is for you po. Follow-up lang din sa topic ng Bayanihan 2 para lang po malinaw sa ating mga kababayan. May ilang senador po kasi na nagsasabi nga na sa kanilang part ay minadali nila ang pag-aproba ng Bayanihan 2, pero nalulungkot sila na sa executive branch parang natatagalan daw po. Ano po ang paliwanag dito ng palasyo at may timeline kaya tayo, Spokes, kung kailan nga po ba tuluyang maire-release yung mga budgets para po dito nga sa Bayanihan 2?
Well, siyempre po, nais naming ma-release ang budget bago mapaso itong Bayanihan 2 sa Disyembre. Huwag po kayong alala kung naantala sa simula, lahat naman po yan ay ma-release dahil importante nga po yan bilang economic stimulus natin sa mga panahong ito. No? So, ang sabi nga lang po ni Sec Wendell ngayon, we can invite again, no? Siguro on Thursday, ay nag-aantay lang tayo ng ilang mga approval galing po dito sa Office ng President.
Opo. And sir, about lang po sa sinabi ni Pangulong Duterte kahapon, nabanggit po na kasi nakakausapin niya si Senator Gordon on the issue nga po pa rin ng Philippine Red Cross. Magkakaroon po kaya sila, sir, ng pagpupulong kasama or meron din kayang pulong kasama ang PhilHealth officials, at kailan po nga kaya target talaga na once and for all masettle na po yung issue nga din, sir, sa Balancio po sa PRC?
Well, gaya ng sinabi ko po kanina, we hope to settle at least 50% of that amount as soon as possible and the rest also within a reasonable time. So, I think ang pakiusap ni Presidente, tuloy-tuloy muna sana po ang serbisyo ng Philippine National Red Cross.
Opo. Secretary Roque, may last question lang po is for Secretary Bello, please.
Please go ahead.
Opo. Secretary Bello, nabanggit niyo po kanina yung update about sa paggagawad ng soft loans na maaring i-avail ng ating mga small enterprises. Para lang po dun sa mga kababayan nating nagtatanong, paano po kaya sila makapag-a-apply dito at paano po kaya yung lahat po kaya ay ma-approvean in case from kung sa government sila mag-apply or sa mga nabanggit po natin na rural banks?
Sec Bello, naka-mute po kayo. Paki-unmute po.
Ay, sorry.
Apa.
Yeah, Mela,
Yes po.
pwede sa government, that is the Land Bank or the DBP, or kagaya ng binanggit ko, lahat ng mga bangko dito sa Metro Manila and throughout the Philippines ay ready magpairam. And what is more impressive is yung volunteerism ng mga rural bankers. Kasi tumawag sa akin yung presidente nila na sabi nila handa silang magbigay ng soft loan. And when we say soft loan, they mean minimum interest with no collateral requirement.
Opo. Secretary Bello, isang maikling pahabol lang po kasi alam naman natin sa mga ganitong loans ay may prosesong pinagdaraanan. Ma-assure po kaya natin na mabilis lang yung proseso nito na tiyak naman naaabot ang 13th month pay in case nga na mag-apply itong ating mga maliliit na negosyo.
Yun po ang commitment nila, Mela, na they will fast track the processing of the loans, soft loans. And then in addition, hindi ko pala nabanggit ko kanina yung pera ng Small Business Corporation and Agency of the Department of Trade and Industry na sumulot sa akin si Secretary Mon Lopez, my partner, informing me that meron silang pundong 10 billion and they're willing to share 4 billion of that para sa soft loan din for our micro and small business enterprises. Walang collateral kailangan dyan, no collateral needed. Ayun.
Okay, thank you so much, Secretary Bello, Secretary Roque, and Yusek.
Thank
Maraming
you, Mela.
salamat, Mela. Salamat, Sec. Bago po tayo magtapos, ito po yung mga insurance providers para dun sa gustong bumiyahe sa abroad ng mga Pilipino. Sa Malayan Insurance po, ito po ay from the Insurance Commission. Malayan Insurance, meron silang travel protection policy at COVID-19 endorsement. Liberty Insurance Corporation, meron silang terminal illness COVID-19 policy, terminal illness COVID-19 endorsement, at Prudential Guarantee and Assurance, meron po silang Travel Shield policy. So there are at least 3 insurance companies that can provide the required travel insurance. Since wala na po tayong mga questions, maraming salamat po sa inyong pagsubaybay ng ating press briefing. Maraming salamat sa ating mga kasama sa Malacañang Press Corps. Maraming salamat po kay USEC Roque. Maraming salamat po kay USEC Halad. And siyempre, maraming salamat to the man of the hour, ang pambansang Santa Claus that assured the Filipinos a 13-month pay, Secretary Santa Claus Bebot Bello. 66 days before Christmas, mga kababayan, ito po ay kakaibang Pasko. Ito po siguro yung isa sa exception na Pasko na hindi magiging tradisyonal ang ating pagdiwang. Pero ang Pasko naman po ay tungkol sa pamilya, mga kaibigan, pag-ibig at pag-asa. So with that, we leave you with a Christmas carol from the BFF of Secretary Bello, who is the pambansang Santa Claus. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat.